Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the City Ground Nottingham, the home of Nottingham Forest, former two-time European champions, former English First Division winners, former runners-up of the league, former FA Cup winners, former League Cup winners, and they are at home to Weymouth in the first round proper of the FA Cup. There is a party atmosphere, especially in the away end here at the City Ground. 1,800 terrific Weymouth supporters have made their way on special chartered trains, on coaches, cars, and any other way they've been able to get to the ground. We are preparing for the biggest cup competition in the world, and Weymouth are preparing to try and cause an upset. The hosts, Nottingham Forest, have been on hard times of late in League One. Gary Megson really under pressure amongst the Forest supporters. They line up with Pedersen in goal, Eden, Morgan, Bracken, Thompson, Southall, Holt, Bopp, Perch, Johnson and Leicester. On the bench for Nottingham Forest, Curtis, Gamble, Pittman, Bastions and Cullick. For the Terrors, who've made the long journey up to Nottingham, Jason Matthews in goal, Tully, O'Brien, Bound, Chalice, Clark, Wilkinson, Harris, Elam, Eribin and Jackson. On the bench for the Terrors, Downer, Taggart, Dutton, Wheeler and Lee Barrett. The referee is Mr. Webster from Tyneham Weir, and it's going to be Forest to get us underway in this first half, playing from left to right in their traditional red shirts, white shorts, red socks rather. The Terrors in their chain strip of navy blue, yellow shorts, yellow socks. It's going to be Forest to get us underway, and the referee blows the whistle, and this cup tie is well and truly on. Headed forward and headed out by... They're going to look to make a good start. Eribin just steps in there and does well and finds Chalice to scupper the attack from Forest. And now they've moved it forward and Eribin's giving chase, and that's good defending by Morgan. Heads it back to the goalkeeper Pedersen, and Forest will be able to start again from their own 18-yard box. What a day it's been so far. The Weymouth fans set off really early this morning. They descended on Nottingham en masse, and they're behind the goal now, where the ball's just been booted forward after a foul. They've descended upon that away, and they've got beach balls. They're bouncing around, they're singing, they're making lots of noise, just as you expect a minnow club, if you like, to bring masses of fans behind, away to a big cup tie such as this one. Jason Matthews just going to post the ball down and take this free kick early doors for the Terrors. But what a day this is going to be in the history of Weymouth Football Club, especially if Weymouth could pull off a shock result, then they really would. So as the ball's come down, they've booted a shot from distance, has gone up in the air and over the crossbar and into the Forest fans behind that goal, and Pedersen's going to have to restart the game with a goal kick. Yeah, if Weymouth could pull off a shock result here today, it really would cement their place there, in the... they're on course for promotion from the Conference South. Gary Hills came in. He came in at the back end of last season and won sort of 10 out of 11 games. He's really got this Weymouth side moving. The money that Martin Harrison's put into the club has built a really good side. And Weymouth are really, really optimistic about promotion this year. A year back in the top flight of non-league football. But it's these sort of occasions that the Weymouth fans really like to enjoy and savour. And Weymouth will be determined to try and get a result today, as there's a bit of a battle for possession and Eribin's not going to be able to keep it in play, and Forest overthrowing level with their own 18-yard box. Not in a Forest point of view though, Gary Megson's been under some serious pressure, and the Forest fans aren't overly happy with the football they're seeing. You can see the empty stands around the sides of the pitch where a lot of fans have stayed away. They're not overly optimistic, they're not happy with the way their team have been playing as of late. And you just think a slip up here or a poor result here could really add the pressure onto Gary Megson and indeed his Nottingham Forest side. Pedersen clears long, and it's flicked on to nowhere. Trevor Chalice is just going to pick it up, and he's going to poke it up towards Chucky Eribin. Eribin with a lovely first touch out towards Elam, but Eribin was adjudged to be in an offside position, and Pedersen is going to be able to take a free kick just outside the penalty area. Eribin stopped the ball there as it was going back to the goalkeeper, and it's allowed him to move it a good 10 yards forward, and then he's created a few more yards. Bit of experience there from the Nottingham Forest keeper. Right-footed, long, up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Sort of beat everybody. Weymouth are going to try and bring it away. Is that a foul? The referee says no, but it is going to be a throw into Forest. And you have to believe they're going to be keen to get off to a good start. thrown in towards the edge of the box. Tully comes in, manages to hook the ball clear. Arabin holds it up in midfield, does a really good job, finds Jackson, and now they've worked the ball out towards Chalice in the left back position. Chalice again is going to try and chip it forward into the gap. It's been found by Elam's found it. Early ball in towards Arabin, a little bit too early from Lee Elam, and Arabin can't get there. Forrest are forced to clear the ball out for a throw-in. Both teams just starting to feel their way out a little bit. Weymouth going to show no fear whatsoever. In fact, you would say the pressure is all on Nottingham Forest, wouldn't you? Because ultimately, Weymouth can get a win or a draw or whatever here, and it wouldn't be so bad. They've been dispossessed though, and now they're coming forward again. Forest just inside the Weymouth half, held up nicely, but they've played it backwards, and the experience of the Football League side just starting to show, moved out towards the right hand side. Chalice and Elam both going to close them down, but they found the gap, and Forest just content to clear the ball, and now they've played it out into the channel. Roy Brown gets across there, gets his left foot to and puts the ball out for a corner kick to Nottingham Forest, the first of the afternoon, right in front of the 1,800 travelling Weymouth fans behind that goal. This will be a great start for Nottingham Forest if they can convert. A sea of humanity behind the goal there, the Weymouth fans that have travelled. They've gone short with the corner. They've moved it towards the edge of the penalty area, and that's a slip, and Arabin dispossessing their Weymouth from counter. They move forward, they've got Elam ahead of them, and they've played it out towards the left-hand side instead. Can he keep it in? He can. The fullback comes across, he's going to be forced to the byline. He gets on his left foot, tries to pull it back in towards Elam. He just slipped at the last minute. The defender watched it well, and Forest are going to bring it away. Good football from Weymouth, good counter-attack, and that's a really poor ball. I'm not entirely sure what he saw there. There was no runner down the left-hand side whatsoever. It was just a misplaced pass, and Weymouth are going to have a throw-in on halfway. Still 0-0 at the City ground. From forward, it's easily cut out, and Forest just hook it clear again. It's going to go out for another throw. Weymouth, they're not sure if they're going to keep the ball here. They might hit the channel, so I think he is going to hit the channel. It does. Head it clear, and as far as a blue shot, they'll head it back towards the Forest penalty area. Bit of a coming together in midfield there, a bit of a battle. Oh, and he's taken a boot to the face there. Forest play on anyway, there's going to be a foul. Definitely a boot to the face. Completely accidental, as he was sort of slightly impetuous, trying to get the ball down under control. Johnson got in ahead of him and got his head to the ball, and then he got a boot to the jaw for his troubles, and he's going to require some treatment there. Play went on, the referee said it was a coming together. Play went on. Forest have been given a free kick for a foul just a moment later. It gives us a good chance to see the Weymouth fans behind their goal singing and dancing around. Like I said, it's like a party atmosphere here today in Nottingham, especially for the Weymouth supporters who are making as much noise as they possibly can. There's beach balls flying around, there's balloons and all sorts. Absolutely tremendous turnout from the faithful Weymouth following. And even through, the funny thing is with Weymouth, even through hard times, the fans turn up week in, week out. They travel home and away. Being located in a place where Weymouth is located, it's not overly easy travel-wise sometimes, especially when they get into national leagues. But even in southern divided leagues, Weymouth usually have to travel further than most other sides. So especially for the foul there from the free kick by Elam, not given. A lovely ball across the 6-yard box, and nobody could make a run from Nottingham Forest. Jason Matthews let it go. Weymouth defended it really bravely, and the ball's gone harmlessly out for a goal kick. Really good ball that. Just in that channel between the goal and the 6-yard box, Jason Matthews knew he couldn't come for it. Any touch from the Weymouth defender and the ball could go anywhere. And they were brave, they watched it go out, and they have a goal kick. Matthews launches long for a kick, one in the air by a red shirt. Again, the second ball again was won by a red shirt. Maybe a little bit of experience in the Football League side showing there. It fails for Roy O'Brien, he hooks it forward with his left foot, but it drops harmlessly out for a throw-in to Forest. Again, thrown down the channel. It's quite scrappy in midfield. The referee's very much in the way of the Weymouth player there, and he's being told. Weymouth managed to survive, and the ball goes all the way back to Matthews. He launches long in towards Erobin. Erobin doing battle, but he loses out to Morgan. Comes back to him though, and he's moved the ball out towards the right hand side, and Weymouth just happy and content to play. Tully moves it forward, and Erobin's going to give chase again down the channel, and he's going to force him into a decision, and he did force him into a decision, and it's been hooked out for a throw in down the right hand side for the Towers. Still 0-0 at the City ground. How much would Weymouth love a goal right now? Tully's decided to move away from the throw-in though, so this one looks like it's going to go quite deep. Late players, Matty Bounds there just heading forward. Late players going into the penalty area. The throw-in's quite poor though, it's easily defended and headed back out for another throw-in. I think this time Steve Tully's going to come across and he's going to take this throw-in slightly more conservatively. And he throws it into the channel. It's a good run. Trying to buy a corner, but it couldn't quite fall for him, and Forest are going to bring the ball away. Back to the edge of their own 18-yard box, and they forced it out towards the left-hand side. Good challenge, but it was stepped away, and then Forest clear. Free header for O'Brien. Poorly directed though, really, by Roy O'Brien, and he has conceded a throw-in for Forest. It's come loose, hooked back up in the air, all the way into the penalty area, and Pedersen's just going to gather that into his arms. Pedersen puts the ball towards the edge of his 18-yard box and he hooks it long. Headed up in the air by Bound. Still not come for anybody really. Elam couldn't make anything of it. For a stab at clear towards the end of halfway and then hooked into the channel. Oh, there's a slip there, and now it's allowed Forest in. One-on-one with Matthews, he pulls it back. Is he going to get a shot away? They're not. Johnson got the shot, then it falls back again. And a good shot from the edge of the 18-yard box to the delight of the Weymouth supporters behind that goal. Has gone high and wide, but warning signs there from Weymouth, and it wasn't really their own making. It was an accidental slip that allowed the Forest players in behind. He decided to pull it back rather than have a shot. Well blocked by Weymouth, but it fell to the edge of the 18-yard box, and on the half volley he got his right foot to the strike. It goes high and wide, and Matthews is going to have a chance to clear from the goal kick, which he does, flicked on towards Elam. Elam beats his defender, and now Lee Elam gets in behind. He's got two Forest players around him. He can't get the cross away. He's asking for handball. It clearly came off the Forest player's knee. Chalice is brave to get in there ahead of the Forest player. Back up into the channel. Elam charges it down. It bounces off Lee Elam and out for a throw-in to Forest deep inside their own half down their right-hand side. Good work from Trevor Chalice there to win the ball back, and good work from Elam to pen Forest into their own final third. Thrown down the line, free header, disappointing from Weymouth that to concede the room. Good movement by Forest though. They play inside. Erobin superbly gets ahead of it, but caught the Weymouth midfield out by surprise, and Forest bring it away, and the strength from the Nottingham Forest player keeps the move alive. They've shifted it out towards the left hand side. In towards the channel. O'Brien's got across to cover. Johnson, who's been lively early on, lays it off. Good cross. A poor cross in, really. I was going to say good cross, but he just sliced it. And more delight on those Weymouth faces behind the goal there as the ball harmlessly goes out for another goal kick to Jason Matthews. The score remains 0-0. I just wonder if Weymouth would take a 0-0 at this stage. Get back to the Wessex Stadium and see if they can finish the job there, but get some more money into the coffers in the meantime. Free header in midfield from the goal kick. Headed forward again. Erobin takes it on his chest. He could have flicked it on. Instead he comes backwards and it's turned towards Jackson, and Jackson's 2-on-1. Can he square it back towards Elam? He can't. It bounces off a Forest player, and Weymouth are throwing deep inside Forest territory. Chalice has come forward to take the throw in. Elam gives him the ball. Not a great deal of movement. Belatedly, Wilkinson goes back and gets the ball back to Chalice. Delivered in towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Headed clear, but that's only going to come... Oh, it's only going to go out of play, is it? No, it's not. The Forest player manages to keep it in. He's done really well not to give up on that, and then he skips away from a challenge. He's going one-on-one with Tully, and that's good midfield play. Well worked, well won back And Tully then finds Erobin, and Erobin tries to spin on the ball. He couldn't quite get it under a spell though, and Pedersen's just going to clear it long. Again, up to halfway, flicked on. Picked off by Tully. And then Forest pick it up again in midfield. Elam couldn't get there. And then, is that a foul by Lee Elam? No, it's a good challenge, says the referee, and it's gone out for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. Good work from Lee Elam. Played in towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Good spin to give himself half a yard. He gets onto his left foot, pulls it back, and Matthews has to make a save down to his left-hand side. Well watched by Jason Matthews. It's an old technique that Wayne Rooney uses, where he just uses the body of the defender, plays the ball through his legs, Leicester, and in towards the bottom corner. Matthews watched it though and got himself down to his left-hand side, and the Terrors survive. Chalice in midfield, tries to head it forward towards Elam. Giving up. Lee Elam a little bit lazy, chasing back there. Weymouth do manage to recycle the ball, and Matt Bowen lets it go all the way back through to Jason Matthews, who takes a touch. He's under no pressure whatsoever, so he just with his left foot launches it long in towards the channel. Jackson tries to win the flick on. That's a horrible challenge on Trevor Chalice. That should be a booking at minimum. It was a 50-50 ball. Chalice got there first, and he was clearly taken out. The referee wants to have a word with him. Now this could be interesting. You think the way tackling's going, in a few years' time, this could be a serious trouble for the Forest player, but right now he's going to go into the book. First player booked this afternoon, and rightfully so. The old argument was, the referee says it was late, mate, and the player says, well, I'm sorry, ref, I got there as quick as I could. Weymouth are going to have a free kick. Trevor Chalice, he's a big, strong man, Trevor Chalice. I don't think it's going to affect him too much. And the free kick in towards the box. Bound heads it back in towards the 6-yard box. No Weymouth player can attack it though. Pedersen just comes out and gathers up the ball, and he's going to try and get Forest moving again. He's decided he doesn't want to kick from his hands though. He puts it down and then launches long in towards Johnson. Chalice gets up to challenge him. Johnson wins the ball, flicks it on there and carries his run on. Back towards the Forest man who's just gone into the book, and here is the run of Johnson, and O'Brien gets ahead of him, just shields the ball. Excellent work by the former Yeovil defender, which is quite painful to say from a Weymouth point of view. There's Weymouth fans behind the goal still singing, still giving everything they've got to the cause, and you know they would do. They're such tremendous support, they really are. All sections of the Weymouth fan base are absolutely tremendous. Scrappy in midfield, can Weymouth come away with it? They can't. Forest pick it up, and they've got a little bit of room midway inside their own half. Erobin goes to close that down though, and eventually Jackson carries on with the press. Forest get out of it though, but only as far as O'Brien, who heads back into the Forest half, and then a towering header back to O'Brien and a header forward, and Weymouth pick up the ball again in midfield, and he tries to release Elam offside. He's got a smile on his face. He knew he shouldn't have been offside there. It was a good idea from Lee Elam, good movement, but no real need for him to be offside. And Forest are going to have a free kick. Pedersen with his right foot long up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. O'Brien again follows it off and picks it off. It comes to Tully. Tully then launches long, but he slices it. It's gone out of play, and it's going to be a throw into Forest just inside the Weymouth half, which they've already got on with quickly. Down the left channel in towards the edge of the box. O'Brien hooks clear, headed up in the air again. Another loose ball, and Forest was just struggling to find the room they need to create anything at the moment. Done well to turn away from the man there though, then played back into the channel. Johnson turns away from two men, and that's really well recovered in the end by, I think it was Tully in the end who managed to get there. It may have been Wilkinson, but he managed to put the ball out, and it is going to be another corner to Nottingham Forest, this time from the left hand side. They went short with the last one. Let's see if they put this one into the penalty area. Weymouth, Erobin's back to defend it. Defend the short corner that is. This one goes across the 6-yard box, and it's O'Brien who gets up and heads clear. Elam comes back to defend. It's unlucky by Elam, he just got underneath the ball somewhat. And now they're in behind again. Chalice loses out, and it was Morgan who put the ball across the 6-yard box. He slipped as he does it though. And then he's still putting Chalice under pressure, and there's still a battle going on there, and it goes out for a throw-in, and that's much better from the Nottingham Forest side, and more importantly, Wes Morgan. Nottingham Forest fans there singing "You'll Never Beat Wes Morgan." Looks like a man who might go on to win the Premier League with Leicester. I don't know why. Anyway, Forest have a throw-in down the right-hand side. It's a poor throw-in, really. Chalice was alive to it. He could only get his head to the ball and put it out for a throw-in further up the field, though. Weymouth, as it stands, standing strong. A bit of a lazy defending there, though, down the left-hand side. Forest put the ball into the penalty area, and it was headed back into the 6-yard box. The Forest player who's coming back was in an offside position, though, and he couldn't touch it, and Jason Matthews just comes out and gathers the ball. He goes long, very long in fact. Headed up in the air and clear into the midfield. Bit of a battle going on. Well won by the Forest player, but Weymouth come away with possession and then play back towards Steve Tully. Tully likes to get forward, gets it onto his right foot. Oh, he tried to dink it in towards Kirk Jackson. I think Jackson had just gone a little bit earlier there. Potentially he could have got on the end of it, but Pedersen has the ball in his hands anyway. And as he likes to do, he puts it down so he can clear long from the ground. Matt Bound gets up, wins the header, but it's going to come loose, and Forest have it down the left-hand side. Just starting to take a little bit of control of this game, Nottingham Forest, as you would expect them to. Weymouth standing strong though. There's a dinked ball into the penalty area. Nobody's attacked that one. It's too high, and Jason Matthews just comes and gathers it at the edge of the 6-yard box. More assured goalkeeping from the Terrors legend. Headed clear, and then Matt Bound's going to have to get there first, and Matt Bound does get there first. Excellent work by Matty Bound, the Weymouth captain. Weymouth fans behind that goal still singing. They'll sing all afternoon. Win, lose or draw, they will sing all afternoon. The ball's pumped in towards the edge of the penalty area. He couldn't control it. Well held up by Matt Bound anyway. And Weymouth come away with it, and he tries to flick it into the path of Lee Elam. But it was too far ahead of Elam. Forest have the throw in. They've got on with it quickly, and they have it midway inside the Weymouth half. They've gone back towards the left-hand side. Really poor ball, headed forward. Chucky Arabin's going to give chase to this and try and get there. That looked like it could have been a foul, but it's been picked up anyway. And he just lost his footing at the wrong time there. Then suspicions of handball. I don't think he can deny that one. He tried to make the block. It came off his hand, and it's going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest. Launched long with left foot in towards the corner of the penalty area. It's over 2 Weymouth players asking for handball right in front of the Weymouth fans. They instantly all shouted for handball there. The referee spotted it, and Weymouth are going to have a free kick from the edge of their own 18-yard box, and they're going to try and get moving through Jason Matthews. Still 0-0 at the City Ground. Matthews clears it long. Can Weymouth get the flick on? It looks as if Jackson just jumped slightly too early for that one. Still pottering around in the air. Again, hooked into towards the channel. Kirk Jackson's going to give chase. And he's forced the Forest player to play the ball. Then he does well to block it, but he couldn't buy the corner, and it just goes out for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. It's interesting looking at the faces behind the goal there, the Forest fans. They really have had a tough season and some tough times under Gary Megson. They're not overly happy with Megson's running of the football club. And I think the empty red seats that you see all around, you know, it's kind of akin to a normal Manchester City game in the Etihad. It's, you know, they're voting with their feet, so to speak. Weymouth fans, conversely, are having a fantastic season, and that they really believe they can push on under Gary Hill and get some major honours, and that is reflected by the 1,800 people behind the goal away to my right. Forest by a throw-in just level with the edge of the 18-yard box. I'm sure they'll buy a few yards from it. Weymouth fans chanting the Weymouth behind that goal, and a foul throw. Unbelievable. If you're going to see a foul throw in a game like this in the first round of the FA Cup, you don't expect it to be from the Football League side. You expect it to be from the side who are in the Conference South. But the home side Forest with a foul throw and a needless foul really to give away. They have the ball here in the middle though, and they're going to have a strike, and that was unlucky. I think he just misjudged how far ahead of him the ball was, Southall, and he sliced it with it hit his toe more than anything, sliced away harmlessly for a goal kick, and Weymouth will be absolutely delighted if that's the sort of onslaught they're going to have to face on their goal this afternoon. The goal kick from Matthews goes long. Elam, unnecessary foul. I was talking about the foul throw just a second ago, but that was completely unnecessary from the Elam there. Took his eye off the ball, lost the player, tripped him, and he gives away a free kick. Poor free kick. Matty Bound just comes across, heads it out of play. It's going to be another throw in to Forest, quite deep down the right hand side of Weymouth territory. One of the balloons I can see there just on the touchline, or just on the clay area behind the pitch, has come from the away end. Hooked forward by Forest, free header from Matty Bound. Good header from Matty Bound. Jackson loses his footing, and Weymouth, they could have come away with it there. A little bit of a panic in the midfield, and they've given away a needless throw-in. One of the Forest coaching staff comes and gets rid of that balloon I was just talking about. A loose ball from Forest again, and Weymouth can bring it away. Erobin lays it off, then starts making his run. And the ball going forward, looking for the run from the right hand side, but it was easily cut out. Forest again have it in midfield. And Weymouth, they're going to have to make do with, I'd say, set pieces and any opportunity they get. They're really going to have to try and be clinical this afternoon. Forest, though, down the right hand side, Matt Bound has to hold him up and does well. Chalice comes in to cover and manages to prevent the corner as well. Good work from the combination of Matty Bound and Trevor Chalice. Forest have a throw. Forest fans want them to get on with it. Eventually they go backwards towards the full-back, and they played it into the channel. Jason Matthews comes out, almost loses flight of the ball, but he watches it really well, watches the bounce, and gathers it ahead of the onrushing Johnson. Good goalkeeping from the Terrors legend Jason Matthews. Launch was left foot long, really big kick from Jason Matthews. It's unlucky, Jackson couldn't make anything of it. Forest managed to clear, and they pick it up, and they are having the lion's share of the possession, as you would expect. Played out towards their right full-back, then hit right-footed into the channel. O'Brien has to get across and deal with it, and he does. And it's going to be another throw into Nottingham Forest down the right-hand side. Not too much movement ahead of the throw-in taker here. Eventually he just releases the ball and gets it straight back, and then hooks it into the channel. Bound gets across, gets his foot to the ball first, and gives Nottingham Forest another throw-in. Weymouth, I was going to say they were quite slightly slow to switch on and pick up there, but eventually Chalice organises it. Combination of Chalice and Elam down the right-hand side has conceded a corner. Third corner of the afternoon, all to Nottingham Forest. They haven't been able to make anything from them so far. And this one comes in deep, and good header from Chalice to head clear. Flicked on towards Jackson. Elam's done really well to get there first. He's being held off. He gets to the ball. He's asking for a free kick. He probably should have been given a free kick there. And eventually the ball trickles over the touchline and out for a throw-in. And then got on with quickly. Forest players weren't ready for that one. Southall wasn't ready for it. It bounces off his leg and out for a throw-in. Gary Megson just flicks the ball back to Chalice. Flicked on by Elam out towards Erobin, who's now drifted towards the left-hand side. Chalice slightly slow there, had to go to ground, but he does well to retain possession. Bound squares it out towards Steve Tully, who's tucked in to a sort of centre-half position at the moment. He gets it back and goes all the way back towards Jason Matthews. His head. And then handball's going to be given there against Wilkinson. It's going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest midway inside the Weymouth half down the left-hand side. Still 0-0 at the City Ground. They've moved the ball out towards the left-hand side. O'Brien's gone to meet him. And that's a really poor cross again. He couldn't get his foot around the ball correctly, and it goes out of play behind the goal, away to our right. And Jason Matthews is going to have another goal kick. Just taking his time, Jason Matthews. As I said a little bit earlier on, Nottingham Forest starting to get the lion's share of the possession, as you'd expect from the Football League side. But Weymouth standing strong. They haven't really looked in any danger. As it stands at the moment, it's a fairly even game of football. Chalice tries to hook it round a corner. Elam slow to the ball again. Chalice then pokes it forward, but it's come to a Forest player and it's gone all the way in. Jason Matthews doesn't know where to come or go. Johnson gets in behind him. There's a foul though on Roy O'Brien. He couldn't direct his strike goalwards anyway. Matty Bound applauds the linesman for making that decision, and Weymouth are going to have a free kick. Warning signs though, Jason Matthews wasn't entirely sure whether to come or stay for that ball, and might give Forest just a little bit of encouragement to try and hit it in the channel and try and dink it with that backspin again, and see if you can keep Jason Matthews unsure. Good ball from Matthews in towards Elam. Good defending though by Morgan. Weymouth have a throw in. Chalice jogs forward. He's looking for options. Matt Bound is there. Weymouth a little bit slow to get the game back underway. Chalice plays in towards Elam. Elam has got quick feet, but runs himself into trouble, Elam, and gives the ball away unnecessarily. Almost recovered in midfield, but Forest have it back, and then a good square out towards the right hand side, but it was won back by Weymouth, and now Tully has it in the right fullback position. Dink forward, nice layoff. But Weymouth can't make anything of it, and Forest step in, and it's going to be a throw in to the Terrors. Well gathered, now played back in towards the midfield, hooked over the top, but there was no run there at all from Erobin, and Pedersen's just going to come out and gather the ball up. Pedersen with the clearance, long. Matt Bound wins the header. Jackson tries to keep it alive, but all he can do is head it back out of play, and Forest are going to have yet another throw-in. Thrown down the line. Picked up again, back towards their own goal, Nottingham Forest, but they're just happy to keep the ball and just keep probing away and see if Weymouth crumble. Long diagonal, flicked on, he gets there ahead of Chalice. Matthews can't come for this one, so Matty Bound goes and shepherds him. Chalice goes to try and prevent the cross, he can't prevent the cross, it's deep, in towards Johnson. Johnson puts it back across the 18-yard box, and the Forest player who just wouldn't sit down for him, and he made a hash of it, but they've kept it alive down the right hand side and dinked it again into the box, headed clear by Weymouth. Erobin's going to try and keep this alive, finds Elam. And then back to Chalice in the left back position. Chalice plays it forward. Really good work from Jackson in towards Erobin. And that last release, Elam down the left hand side. Elam, can he keep it in play? He can. Good work from the man affectionately known as Bestie. Oh, he tries to get a cross in, but it's well blocked by Wes Morgan. And it goes out for another throw in. Chalice comes forward to take this throw in. Again, the movement in front of him is not the best. Goes back towards Bound, and then back to Chalice and back to Bound. Oh, Matty Bound, if he'd looked up there, Erobin had just created half a yard of space for himself. That's an unnecessary foul to give away in the, towards the edge of the penalty area there, and Forest are going to have a free kick. If Matt Bound had just looked up there, Erobin had created half a yard of for himself, and the ball had gone on the ground in towards his feet, and he would have been in on goal. Unfortunately, from a Weymouth point of view, he didn't quite get the pass right and gave it away. Forest trying to build down the right hand side, but it's going to be hooked clear. And Weymouth again trying to get there in midfield, but it's going to fall to a red shirt. Now Forest can come down the left hand side, puts the ball ahead of him. He's under pressure. I think that looked like it may have been a foul. The referee was right there though, he says no. Tully clears, and Weymouth pick the ball up again, and then there's a long read ball forward, and Erobin, who looks like he may have been offside, is 1-on-1 with Wes Morgan. Can he get it onto his right foot? He goes outside. Wes Morgan stands up with a fantastic challenge, absolutely superb challenge, and Forest are going to be able to clear. Really good work by the Nottingham Forest centre half. Forest have a throw in midway inside their own half. It's been hooked over the top. It's going to have to be watched by O'Brien. It's really well watched by Roy O'Brien. He gets it back to Jason Matthews in the Weymouth goal. Still 0-0 at the City Ground, and Weymouth at the moment are more than holding their own. Much to the delight of the 1,800 supporters behind that goal away to our right. Matthews with his left foot launches it forward, headed clear. Weymouth pick it up again though. And then, it's a good idea that. He tried to hit the channel and then beat the fullback, but he just put a little bit too much on it and not quite at the right angle, and it goes out of play for another throw in to Forest. Deep inside their own half this time. Headed up in the air. Bit of head tennis in the middle of the field. Arabin comes down. He thought about flicking around the corner, but he manages to keep possession. He's having a really good afternoon so far, Chucky Arabin. Now he goes one way, then the other, and he gets to the channel. To the area towards Jackson wasn't a good one, and Forest stab it clear. Bound can't quite control it, and Forest clear, and Chalice calmly gets the ball in towards Roy O'Brien, who then gets on his right foot, hooks it in towards the channel. There's nobody there from a Weymouth point of view, and Pedersen just scampers across and gathers up the ball, and again he's going to put it on the ground and he's going to launch from there. Matt Bound watching, manages to head clear. He's done really well. He's going to be given a free kick as well, although Weymouth managed to keep that alive through Jackson in the middle of the field, which is the point I think Roy O'Brien's just making to the referee, saying we had the ball, but they're going to have a free kick midway inside their own half anyway, which will be taken by Jason Matthews. And with Matthews left foot up towards the corner of the penalty area, it's flicked up in the air, headed forward again. Morgan's there again to head clear. Forest try and bring it away. They have done in terms of a foul. Chalice a little bit late and got his feet stuck in the ground somewhere, and he gives Forest a free kick, rightfully so, midway inside their own half. Still 0-0 at the City Ground. I remember the draw being made for this first round, and the bar at Weymouth went absolutely mad when they saw that they'd drawn Forest away. It's such a big occasion for the club. And the supporters, as you can see, the 1,800 behind that goal, are really determined to make the most of it. And it's something that you think will live on in Weymouth history, no matter the score, for years and years to come. O'Brien heads the ball clear. Forest picking it up down the left-hand side, skipping away from 1, 2, 3 challenges, then moves it in towards the channel. Bounds there, though, and he clears it out for another throw-in. Forest getting on with it quickly. Played back towards the throw taker. Tully's going to have to go across there. He loses out though this time, Tully, but he's been I thought he was well protected there, but the referee's seen something that I didn't, and he's given Nottingham Forest a free kick in a very dangerous position down the left-hand side. This will be a good opportunity to put the Weymouth back line, the back four, to the test. It's a good opportunity. It's as good as a corner, but with a different angle, so it can be swept in. Weymouth are going to have to be at their absolute best here to defend this. You know that Forest can be dangerous in these situations. Here it comes in the area. O's head is bouncing everywhere, but it's managed to be cleared. Forest could have done better with that. It was an inviting ball. Elam's going to have to try and keep this in play, and he does. He's got Chalice for support. He lays it off to Chalice, who's going to hit it first time. Has that stayed in play? It has. Headed down the line. Again, a bit of head tennis in there. Where's it going to drop? Can Weymouth get there? They can't. Forest have it around the edge of the 18-yard box. Flicked in towards Jason Matthews. He was flicked in towards the 18-yard box, and they were trying to get in. Jason Matthews is alive to the danger. He just comes out and gathers the ball at the edge of his 6-yard box. Excellent goalkeeping from Terra's legend, Jason Matthews. And then plays and looked for Jackson. He couldn't find him though, and now it's a good ball forward. Now Forest are trying to put Weymouth to the sword, and they've moved it out towards a really poor ball. And O'Brien, there's no real need for Roy O'Brien to go to ground there. And he's allowed Forest to keep possession down the right hand side. And move it back towards their fullback, then in towards the corner of the area. Forest asking questions, and that's gone all the way across the 6-yard box, but excellent defending. I think that was Matt Bound who got in there, and he went to ground, and he got there ahead of the Forest striker, and he manages to force the ball out for a throw-in rather than the corner. Wonderful defending from the Weymouth captain. The movement from Forest isn't great from this throw-in. The fans are most certainly letting them know. They kept the ball alive there. It's a good ball across the 18-yard box, and there's Grant Holt, and finally they have scored. Nottingham Forest, the home side. It was a really good ball in. The movement from the throw-in wasn't the best, and the fans were most certainly letting them know. But from the resulting throw-in, they got the ball down the right-hand side. It was a lovely ball into the box. There popped up Holt 6 minutes before half-time with a great header past Jason Matthews, and the Football League side finally lead. Nottingham Forest 1, Weymouth 0. I don't think there was a great deal Weymouth could have done about that, really. They prevented too much from the short throw-in. Their shape was good. It was just an excellent ball in and a really good late run from Holt. Managed to get his head to the ball and put it into the back of the net. And for all of Weymouth's good work so far in this first half, they are going into half-time as it stands, trailing. But under Gary Hill, you know the resilience this Weymouth side have got. Don't write them off just yet. Jackson flicks it on, and then Erobin turns it around the corner, and now here comes Lee Elam as Weymouth try to hit back immediately. Elam gets onto his left foot. He tries to turn the defender rather than put it in the box and loses out. Really good work from Erobin to release Elam down the left-hand side. And the referee, is he moving him into the corner, or is he giving a corner for this? I think the referee... He has given a corner. It's going to be Weymouth's first corner of the afternoon. I'm sure that went out for a throw-in, but I must admit the referee is closer than I am, so he's given Weymouth a corner. Can they hit back immediately? Here comes the corner, in towards Erobin, headed out clear by Forest. Volley at the edge of the box, didn't quite catch it, didn't get through the body of players. He's going to have another go though, and he's done well to get around the right-hand side. He gets to the byline. Can he pick a cross up? It's a really good ball. Get there, it's headed back towards the face of goal, and it goes to Matt Bound, and the one person you don't want to have a half volley at the edge of the 18-yard box, unfortunately, would be Matty Bound. He's got one hell of a free kick on him, but a half volley on his left foot under pressure, not really what you expect, and the result is interesting to say the least. High and over the crossbar, and it's going to remain 1-0 to the Football League side. Excellent response from Weymouth though, incidentally. Good work from Edam, good work from Erobin, and well defended by Nottingham Forest. The warning signs are certainly still there. It'll be interesting to see or to hear what Gary Hill says to his team at half-time. Forest again trying to get forward. Matt Bound again there to clear. Wilkinson fouled in the process of trying to get rid of the ball. Kirk Jackson comes back, and Weymouth starting to really put a shift in as Forest switch the ball from left to right. Erobin goes all the way across to cut the angle off. Good ball from Forest though. Are they going to keep it alive? They are. Back into the middle of the field. Roy O'Brien gets in ahead of the Forest player, and eventually they get control of it. Weymouth in the middle of the field. Jackson can't quite control it though, but he's going to keep going, and he hooks the ball into the channel, and the referee says obstruction, and it's going to be a free kick to Weymouth, and another chance perhaps to put the ball into the penalty area and see if they can hit back before half time. They trail by a goal to nil at the City Ground. Under the circumstances and the vast distance between the two clubs, only being a goal down just before half time is most certainly not anything to be ashamed of. But how Weymouth would love to go in level. They've sent the big man forward. Chalice and Tully have stayed back. The free kick though was poor as it went in towards Jackson. It was headed clear easily. Elam keeps it alive down the edge of the penalty area. He moves towards the left hand side. He had Chalice in support, but again he tried to turn his man and has to put a hand up in apology to Trevor Chalice, as all he can do is by his side of throw-in. Good work between the two Weymouth players there from the throw-in. It's a long ball out towards the right hand side in towards Matty Bound. Bound can't keep it alive though. Forest bring it away, and they're in over by their own touchline. Back towards the left back position. Pedersen launches it forward. Suspicions of handball though. I'm not sure which way it went. It went against the Weymouth player by the look of things. It looks as if it hit one hand and then the other, but it is going to be, it did hit the Weymouth hand first, so it's going to be a Nottingham Forest free kick. Weymouth fans still trying to get behind their team. Bound heads clear. It comes to a red shirt, but all he can do is poke it forward, and it's going to go out for another throw into Weymouth, this time midway inside their own half. Tully has the ball in his hands. He's looking for some movement ahead of him. He finds Erobin. Good, quite good close control, but again they couldn't make anything of it, and the ball's just been touched back to Pedersen in the Forest goal towards the end of his 18-yard box. Launches long with his right foot in towards the channel. O'Brien gets up, heads it clear. It only falls to a red shirt though, and he's not even going to touch the ball. He's going to let that go over the byline for a throw-in. Keeping the ball and just keep possession sensibly, Nottingham Forest. They don't want to do anything silly so close to half-time. They've fed the ball out towards the channel though and given it away needlessly to Tully. Tully asking if he was fouled there as he tried to clear the ball. The referee says no though, so it's going to be another Nottingham Forest throw-in. Taken quickly this time. And again, they're just happy to keep possession. The goal scorer Holt moves it out towards the fullback. And then past Elam, Trevor Chalice loses his footing as the ball's fed towards the channel, but Matt Bowen comes across and just touches it out for a throw into Forest. Forest taking their time over everything at the moment. They're going to be quite happy, I should imagine, to get to half-time 1-0 up, if they do indeed. Elam does well there to charge the throw-in down, but it went too far ahead of Jackson, who didn't really move towards it. And they've moved it out towards the left-hand side. Forest still in possession. And again, back down towards the channel. Roy O'Brien goes out to cover Steve Tully. Tully loses his footing. It's been fed in towards the penalty area. It's going to be another header, and it's gone wide of the post, and Forest asking for the corner. The referee says it is going to be a corner to Nottingham Forest, and they have got a chance to double their advantage just before half-time. From the goal that Holt scored earlier, you couldn't say there was too much wrong with the defending from the ball being delivered into the area. So let's see how Weymouth deal with this one. It's up in the air, headed by O'Brien. It falls to the edge of the box. He's going to try a shot. No, instead he's going to go back to his corner taker. He takes the touch. He's got room for a cross. He puts it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Headed clear by Chalice. Comes back to him. Out towards the middle of the pitch and then back towards the fullback. He's followed his run on into the wing area. Really good work though by the Weymouth number 8, and it goes out for another throw into Forest. This time very, very deep in Weymouth territory. Thrown towards Johnson. Johnson on his left foot hooks it into the penalty area, head it up in the air. Erobin helps it on towards Jackson. Jackson with a good leap tries to find Elam, too far over the head of Lee Elam though, and out for another throw-in. Forest just happy to keep the ball inside their own half for now. That's a really poor ball, and Tully tries to get Weymouth moving. Erobin takes on his touch, but he just stumbles as he goes back to get it, and now Forest more free kick right at the end of the half, and possibly another chance to double their advantage. Some short 1-2. Forest keep hold of the ball. And they're content just to play it amongst themselves at the moment. They're not being too probing. A long diagonal over the top, taken on the chest and kept in play. Oh no, he couldn't keep it in play. He kept it in play the first time, but as he tried to keep it moving, he couldn't do it. And there's the half-time whistle. Well, it was a tentative start to the game. Both teams were sort of feeling each other out. Weymouth certainly showing no fear. Nottingham Forest eventually got the lion's share of the possession, and they took the lead in the 40th minute, 39th, 40th minute, from a good ball over the top into the penalty area, which Grant Holt came in, attacked the ball, headed it up rather, into the back of the net, past Jason Matthews. Weymouth tried to respond straight away, and they forced a corner down the left-hand side. Some good work from Chucky Erobin and Lee Elam, but it's come to nothing. The second half, everything is to play for. You know the 1800 aren't going to stay quiet throughout the next 45 minutes. Half-time in the City Ground. Forest 1, Weymouth 0. And welcome back to the City Ground, where it is Nottingham Forest 1, Weymouth 0. The goal scored by Holt with a delightful ball into the penalty area, which he attacked expertly. But Weymouth certainly just didn't discredit themselves with that first half performance. They did give up the lion's share of the possession, as you would expect to the Football League side. But ultimately, their response was very good to going behind. They've stayed in the game, they've worked really hard, and they've been disciplined. And it's exactly what you expect to see from the Weymouth side. It's them who will get us underway in this second half. We're just waiting for the referee's instruction. Playing from left to right, they'll be attacking the goal in which those 1,800 Terrors supporters are situated, and they instantly try to launch the ball up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. A moment of intent bounce from Terrors, headed again back in towards the penalty area. Jackson has hold of the ball. He's having to hold it up. It's back to goal. Stabbed with the outside of his foot in towards Erobin. Erobin challenges Pedersen. Pedersen does really well to come out and get there ahead of Erobin and gather the ball, and both players are going to need some treatment immediately at the start of this second half. It was brave. It was the outside of the right foot. It looked like it was O'Brien who poked it back into the area. And as I say, the outside of his right foot, it was up in the air. It was inviting for Erobin to attack. Pedersen came out and gathered it ahead of him, and the players just clashed there slightly. And it's going to be, I think the referee's given a free kick to Nottingham Forest as a result of the challenge from Chucky Erobin, who again has stayed down. Weymouth fans behind the goal, yeah, you can see them, hear them, really getting behind their side. How much would they love an equaliser? I think the roof would come off this away end if an equaliser did manage to go in at some point during the second half. Erobin back to his feet. Great to see Chucky Erobin. He's had a really good afternoon so far. It's great to see him back to his feet. He's obviously got now leave the field of play. Still limping slightly. It looks as if he's just... I think he's just favouring looks like his left leg. But it has been a free kick awarded to Nottingham Forest inside their own penalty area, which Pedersen is going to clear. Or he's going to take, I should say. A few Weymouth fans there coming back from the concourse. They do like a half-time beer at Weymouth. So here is Pedersen with his kick, right footage, going long, over halfway. It looks like Matt Bounds underneath it, he wins the header. Lost in midfield, and then played forward. Oh, it's a heavy touch, it's unlucky, and Forest stab it clear. Only as far as Tully, who heads it back into their danger zone, but away from any blue shirts. And Forest again managed to just stab it away. Matt Bound gets on the end of it. He can only find a red shirt though, and it's with the Forest fullback. He then goes to challenge. Poked in towards the edge of the penalty area, poor control, and Weymouth can bring it away in towards Jackson. Jackson does well to skip past two challenges, loses control of the ball, but Weymouth keep it alive in the middle of the field. Chalice then launches long, and it allows Elam to give chase. Morgan's there, Morgan just goes to ground, pokes the ball out across the byline and out for a throw into Weymouth deep inside the Forest half. Good start to the second half from the Terrors, from the non-league side. Chalice releases the ball and are hooked over into the channel. And now it's going to be a goal kick to Forest. Pedersen wants to go to the other side. And Pedersen will clear long, it does. Still bouncing around. Can't quite clear. Forest get their ball, gets in ahead of the first striker there, and it's good work. And then Chalice gets in ahead of the first player, he launches long. Jackson and Erobin both gave chase, header clear. And it's just a little bit loose in midfield, and Forest again can come away with possession. Just crossing halfway on the right hand side. There's a ball into the penalty area, it's an inviting one. Oh, he just jumped underneath the ball really. Weymouth struggling to clear their lines. Forest come away with it at the edge of the box. Fed in towards the edge of the 18-yard box, then centred, and then back out again. Oh, that's a poor ball though. It's going to allow Tully. Oh, and Tully lost his foot in. He was trying to hook it down the line towards Erobin, but he just lost his foot and slipped at the vital moment. And unfortunately, from the Weymouth point of view, it's conceded a throw into Forest. Again, not a lot of movement from this throw in. They eventually hit the line. It's going to come off of Tully, I think it is, and it is going to be another throw into Nottingham Forest. Got on with it quickly this time, but well watched by O'Brien. He managed to head it down into the channel where Aiden keeps it alive in the touchline. Plays inside towards Jackson, who's turned it back around the corner and Chucky Aiden's got to give chase. He's one-on-one with Morgan. He's had to hold it up there, he's got no support around him. Jackson trying to get back into position. There is Jackson, about to go, lays it off. Good football from Weymouth. They've shifted it from right to left. Chalice, midway inside the Forest half, thinks it in towards the edge of the box. Diving header, clear, another volley from distance. A good idea, it did set up very invitingly for him, and he has avoided. Does go into that sea of Weymouth fans behind the goal and out harmlessly for a goal kick to Forest. Still 1-0 to the Football League side. Weymouth, though, have started this second half with some belief in their hearts. O'Brien challenges, gets there just about, it falls to bound, hits O'Brien's hand, referee says accidental, and allows play to continue, and Kirk Jackson's going to give chase there with Wes Morgan, and Morgan just about gets there first. Excellent running, excellent attempt at getting in there by Kirk Jackson, but Morgan, being the strong, versatile centre-half that he is, manages to get his head to the ball and clear, and then Forest clear and managed to win a throw in midway inside the Weymouth half. Good game of football so far, typical FA Cup tie at the City Ground. Inside, Forest trying to probe again. They've had to come out again now. Good defensive work and excellent positional work from Weymouth. Moved out towards the right hand side. Weymouth again putting bodies in the way. They've laid off and they're looking for a cross. Chalice can't make the challenge. Bounds out of position really, but it was headed clear by the midfielder at the edge of the box. Elam can't get on the end of it. Weymouth still giving battle, but Forest come away with the ball again. We do believe a second Forest goal might just kill this Weymouth resolve. That's some lovely work from Johnson as he skips away from Bound. Chalice challenges, it goes back into the area. Good header again by Bound, and again off Chalice. It appears with handball. It certainly looked like it came off the back of the elbow of Trevor Chalice. It was outside a good box anyway, and it drops out for a corner of Forest. First corner of this second half. And here it comes in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's over absolutely everybody. It's going to drop to a Forest player. He's got no real options around him at the moment. He's being held up really well by a combination of Weymouth players. Good resolve, good twisting and turning. He managed to get past the byline and looked as if he sort of threw himself down from the challenge there. It's going to be a yellow card. And Nottingham Forest are going to have a free kick right on the byline. Certainly not happy there with the award of that free kick. It did look as if the Forest player went down a little bit on the easy side. But either way, it is a free kick. Weymouth going to have to stand firm. The ball in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed clear really well. Can they complete the clearance? It falls to a red shirt. Weymouth players swarming around Forest, but Forest come away with it on a bit of composure, and it's gone all the way back to Pedersen on the Nottingham Forest goal. Right-footed, long ball up towards the left-back position from Weymouth point of view, where Chalice gets his head to the ball. Elam then heads it straight into the path of the Nottingham Forest player, and I think that may be a free kick to Weymouth. A reckless challenge, and Chalice again for the second time this afternoon has been on the receiving end of quite a hefty challenge, and a second Nottingham Forest player is going to go in the book. Second time Chalice has got to the ball first. I think people underestimate quite how quick Trevor Chalice is. You know, it's the second time now he's got to the ball, he's got there hard, got there fast, and has been absolutely taken out once he's cleared the ball. And that Ballon waits a free kick, but he usually likes him 70 yards further up the field. This one, he clears with his left foot up towards the corner of the penalty area. Turn around the corner by Jackson. Can't make anything out there. First clear. Out for another throw in. Chalice then throws it back into the channel. It's going to be kept alive. Forward. It's a lovely turn, and he's going to force a corner there. Off of Wes Morgan, and Weymouth have their second corner in the afternoon, their first of the second half. Can they get back into this game? Looks as if Wilkinson's going to go across and take it. Here comes the corner. Up in the air, and the goalkeeper, sort of a bit of a mix and match, and it comes off with Forest head and out for a corner down the right-hand side, the opposite-hand side, and Wilkinson this time is going to scamper across to the right and take this corner. Pedersen, the goalkeeper, has stayed down. No suggestion of a foul, it was off of their own player. Weymouth are going to have a second corner in quick succession. Pedersen seems to be okay, he's just going to have a quick once-over from the physio, and then Weymouth are going to take this corner. Can they get back into this cup tie? Tension around the City ground is mounting. You've got to believe the Forest fans will start getting the teams back if Weymouth can find the equaliser. There's Morgan now trying to organise his defensive unit while Pedersen is still receiving treatment. Matt Bowen just doing some little jogs in and out, just trying to confuse the Forest back. The physio blatantly leaves the field. Kirk Jackson, Lee Elam in front of the goalkeeper. Erobin making a meal of himself. In it comes, onto the head of Andy Harris, who scores for Weymouth! The 1,800 fans behind the goal have gone mental. Andy Harris has just cemented himself in Weymouth folklore. He is equalised at the City ground. Remember, the 5th of November, where Weymouth come to town. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Weymouth 1. I was just saying how it's possible the Nottingham Forest fans might get on their teams back if they were to concede the equaliser. A wonderful corner in from Sean Wilkinson. Andy Harris, he doesn't pop up with too many, but he attacks the ball and it almost went in slow motion, past the hapless goalkeeper, into the net, and the terrors are level. Unbelievable story at the City ground. Forest trying to get back into the game, or trying to get their noses in front yet again. A good ball into the penalty area. It's got to be watched in the back post. Great save, Jason Matthews, and Forest almost restored their lead within an instant. My goodness, who said the FA Cup was a dead competition? Unbelievable scenes at the City ground. Nottingham Forest so close to getting straight back in front, having conceded that goal from Andy Harris. They have the corner from the right-hand side. It's going to come in. Who's underneath it this time? Kirk Jackson's out there. He defends well. Headed back in towards the area, and Erobin's got it. He's got half a yard of space, and he's going to hit the byline and try and clear it. It bounces off the Forest player, and it goes out for a throw into Weymouth. And Weymouth just need to regain their composure after nearly conceding a second goal so shortly after the equaliser. 1-1 at the City ground. What a game of football. Welcome to the FA Cup. Weymouth fans still making as much noise as possible. They've now got something to sing about. Forest have suddenly realised this isn't a turn up and win situation. Move the ball out towards the right hand side. Good work from Chalice to win it back, and he plugs it forward towards Jackson. Jackson steps away from a challenge and then lays a good ball out towards the right hand side, and Weymouth now starting to ask a few questions of Nottingham Forest. In towards, sort of in between Erobin and Jackson really. Forest start it up in the air, and now it's Weymouth who look like they're going to have the lion's share of the possession. Tully moves the ball in towards Erobin, too far over Erobin. Erobin's going to have to scamper to keep this alive. He's not going to be able to keep it in play though, and it's a throw into Forest, and it's just going to give me a chance to get my breath back. What a game at the City ground. Weymouth win the ball back again. Yeah, it's sort of given away, but scrappy in midfield, and Forest again just trying to find their composure. Moving towards halfway. Weymouth just seem to have an extra yard of energy in the second half, especially since the goal. But Forest still trying to get moving, still trying to play. They've got a ball in towards the corner of the 18-yard box. Jackson can't keep it alive, and it's going all the way through to Pedersen. Right footed. Up in the air and straight through to Roy O'Brien, who just calmly heads it back to Jason Matthews, who made a tremendous save just moments after Weymouth equalised from a corner. It looked for all the world it was going in, and Jason Matthews just got down and made an amazing save, incredible save really. You expect nothing more from the legend that is Jason Matthews, true Weymouth legend. Weymouth fans are singing loud, proud, as they always do. Can't make anything of it this time though. And they've hooked the ball forward Forest. Roy O'Brien's going to go across, and he does. Left footed, clear the ball out for a throw into Forest, and Weymouth just keeping their composure. It's very much sort of stick and twist at the moment. If you ask any chairman, they want Weymouth the full-time whistle to go now, as Erobin picks it up in the centre circle and then launched it over the top. That's really unlucky, good defending, but it's still in Weymouth. Oh, it was in Weymouth possession, but he just couldn't quite get hold of the ball and it goes out for a throw. If you ask any chairman at the moment, a Weymouth chairman, Martin Harrison, I'm sure will tell you that he'd be quite happy for a 1-1. He'd be happy to get back to the Essex Stadium, potential income for the football club. You ask any football manager, they want Weymouth to go on and win this game. It's 1-1 as it stands. Holt opened the scoring for Forest and Andy Harris equalised in the second half for Weymouth. Tully has to concede a corner there as Forest played down the left-hand side, and Nottingham Forest are going to ask questions of this Weymouth back four again. They've got the option of the short corner there if they want to take it. I think they're going to walk away from it though. Weymouth are marshalling it quite well. Everyone's back open out. Here it comes in towards the 6-yard box. A free header really, but he couldn't quite direct it and it flies over the crossbar, and it's going to be a goal kick to Weymouth. Weymouth move again. I tell you, no matter the result here, Weymouth have well and truly done themselves proud. Everything from the players on the pitch, the managerial team, and especially the 1,800 that have made the journey. It's a long old journey, Weymouth to Nottingham. 1,800 have made this journey today, and at the moment now sitting around, Pardas Erobin's released down the almost through the centre, just a little bit too much on the ball. I don't know if a flag would have gone up anyway. It looked as if he timed his run really well. He's had a really good afternoon, Checky Erobin. Pedersen clears right-footed. Up again towards Johnson. Matty Bowen gets there first. Elam helps it on. Couldn't quite control his pass though, Elam. And Forest stab it clear again. And Tully dummied as if he was going to hook it down the line. Instead, he lets the ball run out across the touchline for a throw-in. Weymouth, the non-league side, the Conference South side, showing some composure against the Football League opposition away from home. There's a handball there, foul on Matty Bowen. I can't quite tell which one. I need to stick my teeth in as well. Weymouth have a free kick one way or the other. Johnson couldn't quite. I'm not sure if it was hands or if it was a foul, to be honest, but either way, Johnson was penalised and Jason Matthews going to clear the ball for Weymouth, and does up towards the edge of the area. A free header there and easily cleared. Chalice does well to get in ahead of the Forest striker, and there's a foul in there. I believe that's on I think it's Wilkinson who's been fouled there. And Weymouth have a free kick just inside the Forest half. Set pieces could be key for Weymouth winning this game. Thought they were going to go short there to Steve Tully, but I think instead it is going to be delivered. And it is. Poor ball though, really. Easy header. Harris can't keep it alive, but it does come to Chalice, who finds Lee Elam. Elam lets the ball run across his body. He goes one-on-one with the Forest fullback. He does really well. Elam's going to be careful not to give away a foul here. In fact, he has given away a foul, and Forest are going to have a free kick. Not been the best afternoon for Lee Elam so far. I think he's just struggling perhaps to get to grips with the game a little bit. But you can't fault his effort, I must admit. Forest with a free kick then, Joe into the channel. Poor ball really. Chalice gets there, heads it back down from whence it came. Jackson tries to challenge, but he loses out in the air. Forest keep hold of the ball. Again, pumped towards the channel. They've got it by the touch. Elam does a really good job then of coming back. And a combination of Elam and Chalice just keep Forest at bay and concede a throw. And that looks suspiciously like a foul throw, and it is. The second foul throw of the afternoon from the Football League club, and you can hear the reaction from the Nottingham Forest supporters. They can't quite believe what they're watching. You have to believe Gary Megson is on borrowed time here. The fans haven't taken to him. The football's not been overly great. They're in the third tier for the first time in many moons, and they're currently being held at home by a Conference South side in Weymouth. And it looks, for the moment, for all the world, it looks as if Weymouth are the ones who are going to probe. It was a really good idea to try and release Erobin down the left-hand side, but well cut out. O'Brien gets underneath that ball from Forest. Matty Bowen tries to clear. Johnson blocks it. It goes off Johnson, out behind for a goal kick to Weymouth, and Weymouth can just relax ever so slightly again. Jason Matthews with a long ball forward in towards Jackson. Jackson flicks it on. Forest clear, Matt Bound then clears it a second attempt. Erben comes back. He came back from an offside position, got onside and then gave chase to the ball because he was initially offside. The flag goes up and Forest have a free kick. Flicked on towards the Forest player. Weymouth scramble it clear, hooked up in the air. Bound again gets there. Leland, it's unlucky from Leland, and just tried to flick it into the path of Jackson, but it just went above him. Scrappy in midfield, suspicions of a foul on a Forest player there. The referee was right on it, says no. Nobody can get hold of the ball, neither Forest or Weymouth, and now eventually Forest do get control of the ball and hook it up in towards the channel where Johnson's given battle. He does really well to keep hold of the ball and touch it inside, and then a loose touch, and that's a heavy challenge, but Weymouth have come away with the ball, and now they're moving forward, and they've let it out towards the channel, and it's too far ahead of Chucky Erben. That's really unlucky. Probably just a little bit of a rush of blood in the midfield there, and he tried to release Chucky Erben on the left hand side, and it just went slightly ahead of him. Erben just letting him know all it needed was just a little bit of composure there, and Weymouth could have been in business. As it happens, Forest have the throw in, which they've got on with. Matty Bound gets turned, but Weymouth come away with possession again, and Trevor Chalice just settles everything down and finds Tully. Right footed, launched over the top towards Jackson. Jackson tried to flick it into the path of Erben, but it's cleared by Forest. And they try to keep it alive on the touchline, but again too heavy. And then Kirk Jackson's offside as Tully hits the ball first time over the top. Kirk Jackson was in an offside position, and Forest just going to have a free kick with the inside their own half. Still 1-1 at the City ground. Game in the past couple of minutes has just gone a little bit on the scrappy side, but that's the sort of game that would suit Weymouth more than it would Forest, you'd think. Over into the channel, Tully doesn't get his clearance right, just hooks it up in the air, and Matthews is going to have to come off his line. He does, ahead of Johnson, and just gathers at the ball just inside his own 6-yard box. Erben can't quite on the end of that, but Weymouth do manage to keep possession in midfield. Miss kick though. Elam's going to have to try and come back, and he does come back to hold Forest up, but they manage to escape, and it's a lovely ball into the channel where Johnson is into the penalty area, and Jason Matthews comes out and makes a save with his leg. And Johnson was saying to his strike partner in there, how was I supposed to get the ball to you into Leicester? Matthews comes out, makes a stop with his legs, makes himself big. Excellent goalkeeping from Jason Matthews, and Forest have to make do with a throw-in. The throw-in's eventually been taken. Chalice though steps in and manages to clear the ball with his left foot out for another throw-in. Weymouth standing firm as it stands. Thrown down towards Johnson. Johnson lays it off. Forest just trying to keep composure. It was a poor ball there really behind the man. Weymouth again pick up possession in midfield, and they've got a chance to break, and they do break over halfway. It's 3-on-1 now, and he's going to have to try his pace, and that's a lovely ball in towards Chucky Erben. Good movement from Erben as well, laid back off to the goal scorer Harris, and that's a delightful ball towards Jackson at the back post. And Jackson, his eyes lit up. He had a chance to try and square it with his head across to Chucky Erben. He may have been in a better position, but he gets his head to the ball and he heads it down wide of the post. That was a big chance for Weymouth. Good football from Weymouth, but it remains 1-1 at the City ground. Weymouth are going to be asking quite how many chances that they are going to have in this game. They've got to be more clinical. Excellent work though from the non-league side, and that's going to go out of play, is it? Well, the linesman and referee say that Forest managed to keep it in. Again, a bit scrappy. Weymouth turn it around the corner. There's going to be nobody going to get anywhere near that. Erben and Jackson together. Probably too far apart, but Jackson charging down the goalkeeper there forces Forest to clear the ball and concede a throw-in to the Terriers, which Tully knows the throw. Deep in Forest territory, Weymouth going in search of an unlikely winner. It starts to go backwards. It's touched in field, and Weymouth Oh, tripped over the ball there slightly and he's allowed Forest in behind. Weymouth just getting themselves in a bit of a muddle there. Running out the defence, played it towards Johnson, the edge of the 18-yard box. Going one way or the other. Steve Tully's getting back there now. Steve Tully gets in there. Can he prevent the corner? He can't, but it's really good defensive work from Steve Tully, and Nottingham Forest have a corner. The Football League side, of course, the famous Football League side, really facing an upset, a poor result at home, keeping more pressure on manager Gary Megson. But they can put that right from this corner. Coming in from the left-hand side, and then it comes in towards the 6-yard box, headed clear at the near post from a Weymouth head. A bit of a scramble in midfield. I thought Weymouth might break there slightly. But Forest come away with it, and then Ryan Urban does over the ball. He nearly got in behind, and that's going to be a foul. Bit impetuous there, trying to get in ahead of the Forest player, went through the player to get towards the ball. Urban had a chance to intercept the ball to begin with, but he stepped over it and found Forest in the penalty area on the left-hand side, pulled towards the edge of the 6-yard box, stabbed clear from Weymouth. They're standing firm still. Still 1-1 at the City Ground. As it stands, they will do it all over again at the Wessex Stadium. But Forest try to deliver the ball in, headed clear, comes back out, and the fullback has it in the middle of the field, tries to stab it towards the channel, headed back up in the air and conceding another throw in for Forest. And there's a little bit more urgency in the Nottingham Forest play at the moment. Thrown back to Wes Morgan, right-footed, up towards the edge of the penalty area. Steve Tully loses out, but there's no Forest player in the box, and Matty Bowen just clears towards Urban, whose first touch is excellent. Wanted to turn it around the corner, but he couldn't quite get there, so he rolls backwards, and now it's launched towards Elam. Elam, he got ahead of the player, and the ball just held up for him, and the Forest player just manages to stand firm and hook the ball clear. It was a good clearance in the end. It's into the penalty area, and he stabs it with his left foot hopelessly over the crossbar. It was more of a hopeful effort that ideally he wanted to hit on his right foot, but he just saw the opportunity to poke it with his left, and it comes off his toe, and it goes high and above the goal and into the Weymouth fans, and remains 1-1 at the City Ground. And as I was saying earlier, Weymouth, if they were to get an unlikely victory in this game, just want to be a little bit more clinical. But their efforts have been unbelievable so far this afternoon. You look at the look on the Nottingham Forest team's faces, their players' faces. It tells a story. Again, the ball's gone forward. Matt Bowen wins it. Elam does really well to help it on in midfield. And there's a loose header from Forest in towards Urban. Urban gets past the first player but couldn't get past Morgan. And Forest tidy up and then a risky ball back to Pedersen in goal. Urban was chasing him down, but Pedersen comes out, clears the ball, and then Chalice just protects it over the touchline and out for a throw-in. Chalice wanted to get on with that quickly, but there wasn't enough movement ahead of him. So he has to slow it down again. This time he goes over the head of everybody and Forest clear into the Weymouth half. Headed again over halfway, but Forest managed to come away with it. That's good touch and good football. A great tackle in there. And Weymouth come away with the ball. The Forest player stays down, holding his leg, and the ball's been released to Elam on the right hand side. And Elam, hit on a half volley. His eyes lit up slightly, but from a troubling angle really. It wasn't the ideal area to have a shot. He could have just hooked it back into the penalty area, but instead he hits it on the hard volley and he gets it wrong, and just like the Jackson effort a few moments ago, it went high and wide, and Nottingham Forest can get us back underway with a goal kick. Leicester, who stayed down there for Forest, is back to his feet. The ball goes up over in towards Johnson, and it's headed clear by Weymouth and out for a throw in the Forest. The Weymouth fans behind the goal, of course, still singing. All 1,800 of them. Terrific atmosphere created by the away fans at the City Ground. Forest have the ball right on the touchline, spun away from Andy Harrison, played in field towards Johnson, who's been very lively all game. He squares it out, and Forest are coming again down the right hand side. Easy delivery into the box, and Matthews was unsure, and in the end he just punched the ball out to safety and out for a throw in. It was good goalkeeping, but Matthews had to make sure, and he wasn't quite sure where the ball was going to land, but he gets a good fist to it, and he only concedes a throw-in. Throw taken right to the byline. and back to the touchline. Left-footed and in, easily cleared, only as far as a red shirt who could have another chance to drive at Weymouth back line. In towards the edge of the penalty area, gets it back, loses his footing. Asking for handball, says no. Chalice skips past 2 challenges and then loses out the third one. It falls to a Forest player and then it's hooked back over the corner. Matty Bound manages to get his head to it and clear, and now is Tully going to complete the clearance for Weymouth. They've just got to see it out for a goal kick. Excellent work defensively from Weymouth. Forest though, they had a chance to get in on the right hand side there if they just sort of poked the ball out in towards the channel. Instead they went very central, which allowed Matt Bound to get the header, and all they can muster from it in the end was a goal kick, and Weymouth will be grateful for the opportunity to clear their lines. Matthews then, left-footed, long clearance over halfway in towards Chucky Erobin, over the head of Erobin though. It's headed clear. Matty Bound then finds Elam. Elam can't control it first time, but he's not going to give up on it, and in the end Forest do well to get possession back, then hooked in towards the channel. Chalice, who's arguably the man of the match so far from a Weymouth point of view, gets there again, and then he's charged down as he tries to clear him, and the linesman says he bounces back off Trevor Chalice. Chalice disagrees with that, and it's gone out for a throw-in to Forest. I feel like that should have been a throw-in to Weymouth, but the linesman was right there and he gave it away, and Forest with some interesting 1-2 football, a couple of touches, and they give Weymouth a throw-in anyway. Completely gifted. Chalice obviously wants to adjust all of his socks and things before he takes the throw-in, and now I think there's going to be a change, and there is going to be a change for Forest. I think it's Cullip that's going to come on for Nottingham Forest, and he's going to replace Southall. So Cullip for Southall in the 77th minute is the first substitution of the day. Nothing yet, and no movement on the Weymouth bench. Gary Megson giving some instructions to one of his players. He will be desperate for Nottingham Forest to find a winner.
Substitution for Nottingham Forest.
The throw eventually comes in from Chalice. It's flicked in, and comes down. Good touch. And then he launched into the channel. Elam gives chase. The fullback's going to have to be very wise here. He heads it back towards the goalkeeper. They get their header all wrong, and Nottingham Forest have gifted Weymouth a corner from absolutely nothing. Excellent run, it has to be said. Excellent running by Lee Elam there to force the error, but it was headed backwards towards Pedersen. Pedersen couldn't keep it in play, and now those 1,800 Weymouth fans behind the goal are expecting as Weymouth have a corner from the left-hand side. They equalise from the corner, remember. Wilkinson goes across to take it. Lots of movement and lots of bodies in at the front post in front of Pedersen. Here comes the corner. In towards the 6-yard box. Pedersen rises above and really punches clear. It's going to fall to a Weymouth shirt, and he tries to hook it back into the area, but he gets too much on it. It goes straight into the arms of the Forest keeper, Pedersen. He launches long towards Chalice. Chalice with a good header up and over in towards Jackson. Jackson does get there first, and Elam does well to take it on his chest. Jackson thinks he was fouled, but the game plays on. Elam lays it off. There's going to be a strike from distance, and it's just over wide of the post. The goalkeeper Pedersen was watching it all the way and never really troubled him, and it's going to be another goal kick to Nottingham Forest. Still 1-1 at the City goal. Both teams trying to find a winner to this football match. The 1,800 Weymouth fans behind the goal, who have been absolutely terrific all afternoon, they would love a winner in the last 10 or so minutes of this game. Hooked forward towards Erobin. Erobin giving chase down the channel, and he's forced the Forest fullback into conceding a throw-in deep inside his own half. Can Weymouth find a way to breach this Forest defence for a second time? Tully gets the ball in his hands. He's not in a hurry to get on with his throw-in. But without going backwards. Again, not a great deal of movement ahead of him. Instead, he eventually loses the ball. It goes down into the channel, and another Forest foot goes in there and forces another throw in. This one 5-10 yards further up the field, closer to the corner flag. Tully's not going to take this one. It's going to be a long throw. Bodies piling up at the edge of the 6-yard box. Crawley find a red shirt there and he heads clear. It's going to come back to Tully. He's gone back into his full-back position, laid off, and then hooked first time into the box, but there was no Weymouth player in there, and Pedersen just waits for it to drop into his arms under no pressure whatsoever. Launched long by Forrest, had to be watched by Roy O'Brien. He does really well to just cushion ahead of Chalice, and Chalice gets lucky. He just lost his sight of the ball there and nearly played the Forest player in, but the Forest player, thankfully for Trevor Chalice, lost his footing. And Chalice tries to clear towards Jackson, and Jackson couldn't keep it in play. Forrest have a throw in, and it's gone forward again. It comes off Elam. Forrest have a second throw in. Elam switched off slightly, but then switched back on. The throw in goes to Johnson and back out to the throw taker, and then it goes central. And Forrest are going to build again from their own centre half position. Erwin's still running. Weymouth still running. They will not give up on this game. Down the right hand side, Elam concedes another throw in. Good defending from Elam as it comes back towards the Forest player, and it's launched into the box, takes the deflection, headed up in the air. Jason Matthews under pressure, punches, asking for a foul, drops at the edge of the 18-yard box. He's twisting and turning, eventually gets a shot in blocked, and then Elam completes the clearance. Not the best of clearances from Elam though, and Forest still have it midway inside the Weymouth half, moved out towards the right hand side and then back central. They've got a man over to the left if they see him, but they instead choose to use Johnson, and they're being forced backwards, and Weymouth's defensive shape is really good. And then they crowd players in the middle of the box. Arabin picks it up, and Weymouth will try and launch a counter-attack. Laid off to Elam. Elam gets on his left foot, tries to turn it around the corner towards the runner, Chucky Arabin. Arabin's not that quick, but he won't give up on it. But it is just going to drop over the byline, and Wes Morgan can give it to Pedersen, and Forrest can start again from the goal kick. Good idea that, trying to launch the challenge, trying to get it in behind. But Arabin wasn't quite quick enough, and although he wasn't going to give up on the ball, there was just a little bit too much on it. And now Pedersen can clear from this goal kick, and does over halfway. Headed up in the air by Roy O'Brien, helped on by Elam, in towards the run of Arabin. Hooked clear, and has hit Chalice last. Is the ball going to stay in play? It's not. The Forest now have another throw in midway inside the Weymouth half. Laid off, and now Forest still trying to build. Touched in around the corner, headed clear by Chalice. Forrest coming together, it's scrappy in midfield, loses his foot in. I thought he lost his foot in there, and so did Wilkinson. The Forest have a free kick. They've gone on with it quickly, but too quickly, says the referee, much to the chagrin of the Forest fans in attendance. And Forest now have a free kick and a chance to pop the ball into the Dorset team's penalty area. Up to this point, with the exception of the Holt goal late on in the first half, Weymouth have stood firm. Can they stay standing firm? Here comes the delivery, right-footed into the box, good header away. He's only going to fall to a red shirt though, and they're going to keep knocking on the door fast. Turn around the corner, Tully towing it all the way, still going, and eventually O'Brien comes across to cover, and it bounces off of the combination of the two players. I think it was Tully who got the last touch, and Nottingham Forest have another corner from the left-hand side. Tension is building at the City Ground. 1-1 in the FA Cup. A replay, as it stands, looming large. Nottingham Forest will be very keen to avoid it. Here comes the corner, flicked on the near post, and it bounces. I thought it bounced off of the head of Chalice, but in the end, the referee was right there, so it's goal kick to Weymouth. And Weymouth breathe again. They are edging ever closer to a famous result here, the Terrors. Matthews obviously taking his time with the goal kick. Eventually it goes long over halfway in towards Arabin. Arabin just misses out on the ball, headed back towards Chalice. Chalice hits it first time, but there's too much on that, and it's going to go straight through to Pedersen. And all of a sudden, Nottingham Forest are in a hurry to get on with things. Pedersen again goes long, over halfway. Matt Bounds underneath it, wins the header again. Elam does well to help it on in towards Jackson. Forest get their head to the ball first though, but they can't make anything of it, and it's turned back round the corner. Elam's going to give chase, headed clear, and Forest eventually get their foot on it in halfway, and then play back to the right fullback. Right-footed, forward and in towards the middle. Roy O'Brien gets up. He wins a little bit of the header, but it still drops to a red shirt. Playing around with it at the edge of the 18-yard box, spins past one man but doesn't get past the immovable Trevor Chalice, and then it's hooked over the corner. That's unlucky. Eribin nearly got to the end of it, but it was good defending, and Forest again have the ball midway inside their own half, played up towards halfway, and lovely little spin and turn to get away from the attentions of one player, but he can't get away from Tully. Tully goes back to Matthews, and Matthews with his right foot clears, and it goes out of play just before halfway, and Forest starting to look a little bit dejected and a little bit like they're running out of ideas. And they can't even find the ball at the moment. You can sense the frustration from Forest players at this stage. Weymouth have been very, very good this afternoon, and have been well worth the 1-1 they have at the moment. Morgan stabs it forward. Tully's just going to let that run out of play, and it's going to be a throw into Weymouth, and it's Johnson of Forest who runs to get the ball and trying to get Weymouth to get on with it. Weymouth, as it stands, are quite happy with the 1-1, but they'd be even happier if they could find a late winner. Thrown forward, the flicker doesn't quite get there, but Eribin is fouled. Jackson tried the flicker on Eribin, then tried to get in behind it. He's fouled, and Weymouth have a free kick right on the byline, and a wonderful opportunity to cross the ball in. Can they test this Forest back line? They have breached them once from a set piece, and this is a good opportunity to do it again. Wilkinson's going to stand around it. O'Brien's gone forward. Matty Barron's gone forward. Obviously Jackson and Eribin are in there, and that free kick is a disappointment. Chalice picks it up. Long diagonal, and that's going to go straight out of play. That's a poor ball from Trevor Chalice, a tired ball from Trevor Chalice. And it goes out of play for a throw into Forest, and you can hear the Nottingham Forest fans telling their players to get on with it. You can sense the atmosphere around here, and again the throw-in's poor. Johnson tries to flick it on, and Lee can do is slice it out of play for another throw into Weymouth, and the frustration for Forest is building, and it's building, and it's building, and their supporters are not happy with what they've seen this afternoon. The Weymouth fans, on the other hand, are delighted and very proud of their team, as they should be. Throw-in goes forward towards Jackson. Jackson tries to flick it on, can't get the angle, it goes straight out of play for another goal kick to Nottingham Forest, and Pedersen all of a sudden is in a big hurry to get on with this goal kick. I think at this stage, even if Forest were to find a winner, the damage to the reputation of the players, I think, would already be done. I think poor old Gary Megson's in all sorts of trouble at Forest. But how they'd love a winner. Played in towards Johnson, takes on his chest, and there's an opportunity, and it's good defending in the end by, I think it was Tully who got in there, and he just put the Forest player off at the last second, and it goes up in the air. Matthews watched it all the way and just gathers it down, and that was possibly there was a really good chance for Forest to retake the lead in this game. Good defending by Tully, good goalkeeping from Matthews, and Weymouth breathe again. And here they come again. Eribin keeps it alive, but he uses two hands on the spool of the back of the fullback and concedes a free kick. Forest try to get on with it quickly. Matty Bound is there again, wins the header, picked up in midfield, good work. Oh, that's just sliced the clearance, or a pass back to Chalice, out of play, is gifted Nottingham Forest to throw in almost level with the 18-yard line. And again, in towards Johnson, good work there from Lee Elam to come back in defence, doing his defensive duties, and then good work from the Nottingham Forest player to stop the ball from finding Chucky Eribin. But Weymouth have a throw in, and Weymouth are quite happy to have the ball here. Their afternoon's work is nearly about to be rewarded with a replay. Chalice with the throw in towards Jackson, over the head of Jackson now, headed up in the air. Jackson's going to have another go. Eventually it drops for Elam. Elam spins away from one player but can't get past the second, and Forest are going to pick this up in midfield area. That's a suspicion of a foul if he was looking at it. It says play on. Forest launch it up in towards the channel. Roy O'Brien's there. Roy O'Brien clears. Throw in. Forest. They can sense the urgency about Forest is something else. They can sense they're running out of time. Played in towards the channel. Chalice is there. Hooks clear. Eribin won't give up on it. Headed clear. Headed again back up in the air. Morgan and Eribin again. Challenge this time. Morgan bounces off Eribin. Eribin's been penalised. I failed to see there what Chucky Eribin did so wrong that Wes Morgan did so right. Wes Morgan picked himself up and he's taken himself to the 18-yard box. He's sent some blood. Forest have a free kick. to the Weymouth 18-yard box. It's 1-1 at the City Ground. Tension is mounting. It's launched. O'Brien heads clear towards the edge of the box. Forest trying to keep it alive. Can they keep it alive? They can't. Eribin holds the clearance on, and it's going to be chased by Jackson. He's not going to get there though ahead of the Forest player, but he's been forced to go all the way back to Pedersen in the Forest goal. Pedersen launches long, being watched again, this time by O'Brien. O'Brien heads clear. Eribin tries to keep it alive in midfield. Find Elam. Elam finds Chalice. Chalice has a little bit of room. He delays and then he tries to hit it into the channel. And Chucky Eribin has been running all afternoon. Hasn't got the energy to chase that late ball. Played forward and he's beaten the offside trap really well in the middle of the field. I think it's going to be a free kick, is it? No, the referee's looking right at that and has decided it's not going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest. It looked for all the world like a foul. Forest can be slightly aggrieved by that decision. It's back to the goalkeeper Pedersen, who launches long in towards the channel. Chalice again underneath it. He doesn't win the ball this time and it's going to bounce off Chalice and out for a throw into Nottingham Forest. Again level the 18-yard box. They're running out of time to find a winner. Weymouth just happy to stand firm. The ball drilled in towards the 18-yard box. It's taken the deflection and then Weymouth has got an opportunity to break down the right-hand side. He just wants to keep hold of the ball as long as he can. He's still going. He's being held up now by 3 Forest players and eventually he puts a ball into the box over the head of Eribin. Jackson was at the edge of the box. There was nobody there and Forest could bring it away. Oh, and that's a poor ball and Elam has anticipated it and pulled the ball back. Oh, and he can't beat the full-back. Unluckily Elam. He would have been in with a crossing opportunity but he was picked off and then Forest have hit the channel. Matt Bound's giving chase. He's just going to see the ball over the byline, out for a goal kick. And the boos from the Nottingham Forest fans, you can hear, maybe for that decision from the referee not to award them a free kick just a moment ago. Johnson runs the ball all the way to the edge of the 6-yard box for Jason Matthews to take his goal kick. Matthews though will still take his time over it, or will he? No, he won't. He's going to hit it long. He doesn't want a yellow card. Free header from Forest into the channel. There's no red shirts around it though, so Matt Bound can get across, take a touch, and then launch it with his right foot. Another free header from Nottingham Forest though. This one's got to be watched by O'Brien and he is headed up into midfield. It's a bit scrappy. Jackson eventually pumps it forward. Eribin can't give chase. The defenders are unsure, but eventually Wes Morgan takes control of the situation and heads it back to Pedersen, and Nottingham Forest have to build again from their own half as time starts ticking away. And in fact there is the full-time whistle. The boos from the Nottingham Forest fans are telling, but the celebrations from the 1800 Weymouth fans behind that goal, they are absolutely delighted with what they've seen from their team. They have come to the mighty Nottingham Forest and they have come in their droves. They have sung all afternoon, they have partied all afternoon, and they are celebrating an FA Cup replay. Unbelievable scenes at the City Ground. Andy Harris is going to go down in Weymouth folklore as an absolute hero. He got the equaliser in the 51st or 52nd minute. Holt had already scored for Forest to make it 1-0. The final score at the City Ground. You listen to this, Weymouth fans. Nottingham Forest 1, Weymouth 1.